All right, fellow babies, thanks for joining us on Pachter Factor at SIFTD.net, and appreciate if you're watching on SIFTD that you're a SIFTD member. You got till the end of May. I don't know if we're getting out of May episodes yet. Got till the end of May to sign up for $30 a year. Price is going up after May. If you are a member in the U.S., we're having a raffle, and there's a big goodie bag to the raffle winner. We're also going to throw in tickets or entry to my party at E3. So if you have any interest in coming to E3, you can come to my party. You can meet 900 of my closest friends. Pretty much everybody who you care about in the video game industry is there. So it's kind of a fun event. And you get to meet me, which is probably even more of a reason to join SIFTD.net. Our first question from Twitter, from @AdamPrestige. Is virtual reality too expensive to achieve mass market success? Really good question. The answer is yes, but it's too expensive for what we know today. So, I think that's like saying, is a television set too expensive to achieve mass market success? When you buy a TV, and I'm just using a TV because a high-end TV, a 55-inch television, I think the cheapest you can find it is about the price of PlayStation VR, and a 65-inch TV, which is kind of like the aspirational television for an upper middle class living room, is about $1,000. That's about what the cost is for Oculus or HTC Vive. You're talking about something that people really don't think that hard about when they buy their first TV, because they know that there are hundreds of channels on. They know there's Netflix. There's plenty of things to watch. So when you buy your TV, it's going to last you 7 years, and you're going to use it for hours and hours and hours of entertainment. I think the average household in the U.S. watches about 140 hours a month on their television. So of course you'll spend $1,000 if you have $1,000, and you'll spend $499 for the television equivalent of PlayStation VR, because there's tons and tons of content. So the cost per hour is nothing. It comes down to pennies per hour to own a television. But if there was only one show that you wanted to see, you would never spend $1,000 to buy a television. You just wouldn't do it. So the answer to your question is VR is too expensive to achieve mass market success today based on what we know. I think that the manufacturers of virtual reality are they hate this comparison analogy, but I think it's fair. VR is like 3D television was when it was first announced. It was very expensive, and there wasn't that much content. That's where VR finds itself. Now, if we see a migration of content toward virtual reality, where every game, every television show, every sporting event is in virtual reality, then, boy, these things are a bargain, because you're going to use them instead of a television. And I think that's really interesting. One of the things my friend Mark Rain, who is head of lots of things at Epic, but Mark is one of the original Epic guys. We were sitting in the PlayStation VR booth at GDC, and we were doing the demo together. And Mark said, "Can I just play a PlayStation 4 game using PlayStation VR? Like, put the headset on, and all I see is like I'm seeing a TV screen, and I'm just playing a PS4 game?" And they said, "Yes, but why would you?" And he goes, "Could you put that experience on?" And they did. And he was like, I do this because I could play with the earpiece in and this on my head in bed, and not keep my wife up at night when I want to play a game. And if I fall asleep, I'll just kind of pull the thing off my head." And I had never thought of that as an application where, they say, take your VR headset with you. And I realize you need your PlayStation 2, but you can play in a hotel room. You can play any place. You don't have to really do that much to hook everything up. That's kind of cool. So ultimately, I think that, innovation is going to come from people who have a financial incentive to innovate. Sony's going to innovate. A lot of Sony's developers are going to innovate. And I think you're going to see a lot of really cool content. Same with Facebook's developers and Oculus. Same with HTC and Vive. I think you're going to get, once you get headsets out there, you're going to get more innovation in the applications for the headsets. And so I think it's chicken and egg. The headsets are too expensive right now for mass market success. If there's a lot of content, there will be more headsets. which means more content, which means more headsets, which means more content, which means more headsets. They call that a virtuous cycle, virtuous circle. I think you're going to see it. And so ultimately, I think VR will be mass market. I just think it takes 5 years. It's not going to be something that happens overnight. We have a question from Sifted, from Toshman666. I wonder if he's really a Tosh, or he likes Tosh 2.0 or 3.0, or what's Tosh's number? Tosh something 0.0. Will the announcement of PlayStation 4 NEO have a temporary negative effect on the sales of soon-to-be-released games? Will it keep people from buying the current PS4, or is the average consumer unaware of the upcoming machine? That's the right question is, will NEO replace the PS4? Because if they're side by side, I think people are going to freeze. And if they see two, they're going to be confused. And if you have a choice of a PS4 or a NEO, people are going to want to buy the NEO, and then they're going to want the game to say NEO capable or NEO, what's the right word? NEO compatible. But I think what you'll probably see is PlayStation 4 NEO compatible, PlayStation 4, works with NEO. And my guess is if Sony's smart, they'll put that on every game, because the way that they're kind of mandating that people make games is that they work on the PlayStation, but they're going to probably make it clear on every game that it works on both. So the question is just, what's going to happen to old games? I'd say used games have more of a problem than new games. I think new games, Sony will manage the message well, and I would say no. And the second part, will it keep people from buying the PS4? Depends on if they're side by side. If they're side by side, yes. I think that's like saying you can buy an iPhone 6 or you can buy a 6S. Nobody in their right mind is going to buy a 6 right now. And then is the average consumer unaware? Sure, the average consumer is unaware. If you think about who doesn't own a console in the fourth year of the cycle, I guess it's only the third year for Microsoft and Sony, but hardcore guys all know, and gift givers don't. So we're in the gift giving phase of the cycle. You're in the phase where 8-year-old boys, when the consoles came out, are 12 now and begging their parents for a console. They might be aware, but it depends on how hardcore they are. I think Sony's going to manage this. It's always a difficult transition with a product refresh, and I think Sony is going to manage it. As long as the new version says PlayStation 4 in it, I don't think it matters at all. And my best guess is this thing replaces the PS4. I don't think they're going to have two models. I think that's too confusing. So we'll see. Okay, fellow babies, from Sifted, from Deus Ex. What are your thoughts on Gabe Newell's open opposition to do an IPO? Isn't Valve losing a huge opportunity? What do you estimate Valve's IPO would be worth? All right. Well, let's first explore the ownership of Valve. Okay, as far as I know, Gabe owns Valve. Now, there's probably like a dozen people who have pieces of it because they invested early and stuff. I am 100% confident Gabe owns more than half of Valve. I'm 100% confident Gabe has way more than 50% voting control of Valve. So the answer is Valve is going to be a private company so long as Gabe wants it to be, and Valve will be a public company when Gabe wants it to be. If I had to really bet, I'd say Gabe owns 80% of the stock, maybe more. I mean, I just don't know anybody who claims to be a big Valve shareholder. So I don't think it really matters what the other people think. Gabe is the guy who runs the company. Gabe is the visionary who came up with Steam. Gabe is kind of the lead guy. I know they have super creatives working on their games, but Gabe is the man. He creates the vibe there, and whatever he wants for Valve is what's going to happen. So losing a huge opportunity, Valve is losing an opportunity for Gabe to, turn his illiquid investment in Valve into a liquid asset. So the only thing an IPO does is it creates a vehicle for founders to monetize. The fact is, Valve mints money. Every time you download a game on Steam, Valve just made some money. They made 30% of that purchase. So my bet is that Valve is generating several $100 million a year in cash flow, profit. And so I think Gabe has plenty of money, and I don't think Gabe is a particularly greedy guy. I don't think Gabe thinks, that he needs more money. I think he's got all the houses and cars and helicopters and jets that he needs and clothes. And I just don't think he feels any need to start having to report to the public on what Valve's profits are and manage the business from quarter to quarter and put up with public pressure on where's Half-Life 3. So no, I think that's the founder's dilemma. You know, you're a private company and you get to stay private and you get to do whatever you want. Everybody doesn't have to be public in order to maximize their wealth. What's it worth? I don't know what their revenues and their profits are. I would guess that they make, you know, something in the range of, I mean, they get 30% of all PC game sales, all 70%. PC game sales are probably $4 or $5 billion a year. They probably generate 3.5, 4 billion of those. They make 30% on that, 1.2 billion, probably. That's not all profit. I mean, it costs money to run Steam, but I would imagine that they make a minimum of 500 million a year in profit plus whatever they sell in their games. Now, they don't do that much. I mean, they have Dota and Team Fortress. We haven't seen a Half-Life in forever, but they're still selling the old ones. We haven't seen a Portal in, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, but they're still selling the old ones. But, you know, like I said, I bet they're making 400 or 500 million a year in profit. So reasonably, you know, 15 times that, maybe 20 times that, depending on what the plans are for growth. So $7-8 billion, maybe 10. It's worth a lot. Again, I'm making that up because nobody knows, but it's billions, it's not millions. So Gabe is worth billions. You know, more power to him. I mean, I like that he's running the company that he founded the way he thinks it should be run, and I think that there's a lot to be said for that. With all of what I just said behind us now, I do wish Half-Life 3 would come out because people are jonesing for it. It'd be fun. You know, it'd be great. It is coming eventually. I'm going to make a prediction now. It's coming in 2000 something. How's that? I'd say it's coming before 2020. How's that? That's my big prediction. We have another question from Twitter from @pseudo-Kieran, as opposed to the real Kieran. Which E3 press conference are you most looking forward to and why? Wow. I got to say, I kind of dread them all. Which one am I looking forward to? I haven't even thought about that. Let me think. Okay, I got to say, the EA press conference is on Sunday, so I'm kind of not looking forward to it. The Bethesda one's at 6 o'clock on Sunday. I'm kind of 6:30. I'm kind of looking forward to that one because I'm going to be downtown. I have to kill time. I actually got a hotel room downtown because I usually drive home on Sunday night, but I got a hotel room because Bethesda was kind of out of nowhere last year and I didn't expect it. Now I know I've got to be here at 1 and at 6:30. So you know what I'm doing between 2 o'clock and 6:30? I'm hanging out with Marcus Beer, and we're gonna test a variety of single malt scotches. So I'm gonna be feeling great. So I'm looking forward to Bethesda because I'll be liquored up, and it's my favorite company, and I love their games, and they're just really nice. And if you're the raffle winner of the SIFTD raffle and you get tickets to my E3 party, Todd Howard's coming to my party, so you get to meet him. But you know, then we get into the Ubisoft conference, which again, I think I like them until they got Mr. Caffeine or whatever the hell that clown's name was. That was the worst press conference I've ever seen. And the Mr. Caffeine press conference got me into the Twitter war with Gary Whitta on my side against Jamie Kennedy, because when I said Mr. Caffeine was the worst press conference that E3 had ever seen, Gary said worse than Jamie Kennedy's, which was really bad, but no, Mr. Caffeine was worse. So I'm not looking forward to Ubisoft no matter what, and I am kind of on the fence on Microsoft and Sony. Like, Microsoft is in the morning, and it's after I've been drinking all that on Sunday, so it's just hard to get up for. And the Microsoft guys, I want to give their investor relations people and their corporate communications people credit. They are the best at reaching out all the time, always making sure that we're kind of on top of stuff. So they'll have a breakfast for us at 7 or 7:30. So not only am I going to be hungover, I got to get up early and come into a Microsoft breakfast before I go to their press conference. So I'm dreading it just because I know how bad I'm going to feel. And then the Sony press conference in the afternoon, they do a first-rate job with food. They have little food trucks everywhere. It's unbelievable. And I usually just like the vibe in the Sony press conference. I like the fanboys, and I like that they kind of mix up all the media because they have like movies and TV. And, you know, this year I doubt they're going to talk about the Vita, but they're going to have VR. It's going to be cool. So I'd say of the two manufacturers, I'm looking more forward to Sony just because they're going to get me fed. I'm going to feel really good going in there. I won't be liquored up. I'll be over my hangover. They have interesting, you know, conferences with really interesting people. So Bethesda and Sony, but it has nothing to do with the content. It's more about alcohol and food, which, by the way, those are the two biggest drivers of my life, alcohol and food. Thank you for joining us on SIFTD on Pachter Factor once again. Hope you guys can become members of SIFTD and see this stuff real time. Through May, it's $30. That will get you an entry into the raffle. You get a big old swag bag, plus you might get a ticket to my party, and we'll do this every year. Party's really cool. If you're not a SIFTD member, you can watch it on YouTube a week later. I want Packed Lovin' to be available to all of my fellow babies, so we make sure it's on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, that's cool, but you can see this a week earlier on SIFTD.